Gentlemen, it's pre-recorded this week because Dan took some time off, so we're going to talk about something that has to do with the present, so we're not missing out or mentioning something that we probably should or should not mention. It's Obey the Puck. See how I did that? Work that around like that. I'm Dan Calchico. With me, as always, Kelly Levy, Paul Baker, and Kelly and I were discussing something off air. We're waving, but I canceled the video show this week because it wasn't.
Oh, that's
working.
right.
Yeah, we're both waving like it's gonna matter, and I was like, wait, I canceled that. Never mind. It's gonna be a big sound wave. You're gonna see our logo with a sound wave for YouTube listeners. But anyway, Kelly and I were discussing something off air a couple days ago, and I was like, this would actually be a good bye-week episode to talk about, and that is cities you would expand to. In 2021 season, the Seattle whatever the hells, whenever they release that name, is going to start playing the NHL. We just had Las Vegas a few years ago. And we saw a video of failed expansions. Wasn't that the video, Kelly? We were watching cities that...
Oh, yeah, expansions that came quite close to happening, but did not.
That's right. Hampton Roads is one that blew me away. I had no idea that was a thing, and now that I live down here, I'm kind of upset that that's not... Like, hey, wait a second. That would have been awesome. Yes, but that got me thinking, well, where would you expand? And I have one rule. There's two cities that are not on this list for us. I'm not list, but there's two cities that are exempt from this discussion. One of them's Hartford, because Paul doesn't like talking about that. And
that's just stupid.
Exactly. And the other one is Quebec City, because the NHL is stupid. That is
all right. I gotta think now. That was on my list.
I know it was. See, you thought you were gonna surprise me, and Well, let's just
That's not my surprise.
Okay.
Wait, mister.
Okay, so let's just say this. Everybody agrees, maybe not Kelly. I actually never got... Quebec is one we would all pick. Put the Nordiques back in the NHL. We know the NHL won't do it because Bettman has excuses. But I feel all three of us, Kelly, would would pick Quebec.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, all right. Just want to make... So that's honorable mention as number one. Quebec City gets a friggin' hockey team. I want you to hit me with your surprise first, Paul. I'm gonna break all rules and throw that at me.
I would not expand.
Really?
I also think 32 is the perfect number of teams for a league.
Huh.
Because you could even do a tournament. You go 32, 16, 8, 4, 2. Perfect. Nobody has to get buys. So, yeah. Now, I would not expand. I would, however, relocate some teams.
Okay, we will count that. What teams would you relocate and where? And do you have who and where?
I would get rid of Phoenix, and I would get rid of Phoenix, and I would get rid of Miami, and I would get rid of Raleigh. Takes to go into those markets. They have not worked out.
Okay, where are you put?
All right, now where would I put them? See, I haven't figured that part out yet because, like I said, I don't see any cities worthy of moving into. A lot of the cities you would think of as larger places have had teams and have failed. You know, Cleveland, Kansas City. I mean, put a fifth team in New York City. I don't care.
I do.
I think them. I would put. I was kidding about that one. No, New York does not need any more teams. See, I would say put a second team in Toronto, but I would be afraid that team would end up like the Devils. The Devils struggle to carve out their market in New York because there's already two other teams there. Toronto. Yeah, I think a second team in Toronto would end up struggling, but I can't think of a better place to put another team. I mean, since we're not saying Quebec, I don't know if there's another Canadian city big enough to support a team. Toronto is certainly big enough to support two teams. And I can't think of a city in the United States that doesn't have a team that should, aside from maybe Houston would be what I would say.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So Kelly, off the top of your head, unless you prepared this, what cities? How much do we have in common for with Paul for moving teams or So relocating or expansion basically is what we're going for. I didn't even think of relocation, Paul. You had to throw a monkey in that wrench. I appreciate that. So
Screwed up the whole agenda, didn't I?
yeah, you did, Paul. Kelly, one of the things you said was you'd say Houston.
Yeah, for some reason the NHL for a very long time has been fixated on Atlanta as their like anchor southern city that they were gonna, they were bound and determined that hockey was gonna be there and work. And meanwhile, Houston is, I mean, it's not right there, but it's obviously it's the South. It's really South. It's a huge metropolitan area. It's really far away from Dallas because Texas is freaking huge. But and there's hockey history there. There's great hockey history there. Gordie Howe played in Houston, people. It never comes up. They had the Arrows were there for years and years, and the WHA, and then IHL, and then the AHL, and they've been gone a couple of years now. But there's still hockey fans down there, and they're 4 hours away from the Stars. If you want to go up to Dallas, that's quite a haul. I've made that drive. But yeah, I think that'd be a great southern city. Another city that I'd love to see have a team would be New Orleans, because you've got an arena there. There is some hockey history in the area in general. That was a huge boom area for the ECHL back in the mid '90s. There was something there. It died out. And there can be lots of factors to that. But I'd like to see the NHL kind of make a serious go in a non-Florida or Atlanta city. That's it.
Oh, okay. I thought you had more. That's all right. So then, I guess the to put you on the spot, and because I'm going to put myself on the spot in a second, who'd you relocate?
Oh, Paul picked the three. That makes sense. I'd move Florida. In a heartbeat. Or Phoenix.
Oh, that's a whole podcast on its own.
I don't think that's on the. I don't think that's on the. I don't think that's on the fans. There's a fan base there. Again, there's hockey history there, but the way the league is just kind of played around with it. They've messed around with the state. How many different cities has that team been in? And they're trying to get it's just sports silliness. It'll wind up being billions of dollars for guys to skate around on a sheet of ice. That could be spent on much better things in Phoenix. Yeah, and then at Raleigh or the Hurricanes. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least the team's good. I mean, they had the great run last year. A good young team with Justin Williams as the captain. They found their way and they were playing great hockey. Had the good run. They definitely got people back in that building. That was a big town when the team was good. They were selling out the arena, and the team got bad, and people found other stuff to do with their time and money. That's what happens everywhere, but Toronto, it seems.
Well, I would actually move Toronto. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Dave, I'm kidding. Kinda. Your banner sucks. I'm going to throw one out here.
Maple Leafs fan, by the way.
No, I know that, but I was talking about the Raptors. Their banner sucks. Milwaukee. Or Wisconsin. Kelly hit on that the other night, and it occurred to me how the hell that is not a thing. I don't understand in that area in general Minnesota's got a team. I don't understand how the Wisconsin doesn't have a team there. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's literally the other hockey country. I, Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, but Wisconsin, not necessarily Milwaukee, but Wisconsin makes perfect sense to me. And I did say Albuquerque, New Mexico. Thank you very much. But I don't know if they're looking later. I don't know if they're big enough. I don't know if they'd support a city. And that was the only two I had, because now that you mention it, relocate, I would absolutely move somebody to two of those cities that I said I wouldn't mention, Paul. Move, go back where you belong.
Where you came from.
Back where you came from. Well, back to the Phoenix thing. That is just it doesn't make any sense, because we all found out that when that relocation, the whole thing that went down with the fans showing up at the courthouse demanding answers, and we know they have a fan base, but it seems like the NHL doesn't care, but cares enough just to keep them there. It's baffling to me to watch that from the outside, Paul, to try to figure out why that's a thing when clearly they don't want them there. Is it just to keep them out of Quebec?
I don't know. I think it's one of those things where they want so badly to work. They want that footprint that they're willing to do whatever they can in the face of obvious indifference to try again, and it's not working. You said they've got a fan base, and absolutely they've got a fan base, just not a big enough for one.
Apparently.
Right.
Yeah. And like Kelly said, geez, how many millions of dollars have been wasted on this team, and how many arenas have they built for this team? I mean, they've been in at least 3 I can think of off the top of my head.
I would also move the Devils, but that's more of a rivalry thing, and I hate you all.
No, Devils are third in a three-team city. Thank you. There it goes.
I mean, really, it's 4, dude. Like, I know you'll, and this is not the Philadelphia "what about me" thing. They're literally sandwiched in with 5: Boston, New York times 2, then New Jersey, then Philadelphia, and then Washington, D.C. They gave that team, I will say it, I've said it on record, and I'll say it again, and I know some hardcore Devils fans that I honestly, all kidding aside, I would never wish this upon, because there, by the grace of God, looking at recent history, go I, that I would not do that to. But that team was, that city does not deserve that team. That team was so good. You got how many championships? 3? 4? 3.
3, I think.
Yeah, 3 championships. You were gifted one of the greatest, arguably the greatest goaltender in hockey history. You were gifted him. And they give you a brand new facility, and nobody wants to go. And I understand not wanting to go to Newark, but yeah, that's the thing. Nobody wants to go. Go ahead, Kelly.
I wasn't around then, and I'm intensely curious because I know and not in hockey, but I know how ugly it got here when the Nationals were coming to town, or the thought was that Montreal was going to move to DC, and what a fit the Orioles threw. So how the heck do the Devils wind up in East Rutherford? That's 20 minutes from New York City and an hour and a half from Nassau. And then 2 hours from Philly. But how did that team wind up there? Did someone have just a boatload of cash and the league was like, sure? Do you remember anything, Paul, about that?
I don't know. I mean, that was early 80s when they moved from Denver.
82. Kansas City.
All I can think of is greater New York. New York metro area's got like 6 billion people in it. So
Yeah, I was gonna say, maybe just a case of they had an arena that they were willing to, like, yeah, we'll take 40 dates a year.
Were the territorial rules a little different back then? I don't know.
Right.
And I think my answer would have to be just New York is just so big.
Yeah, the pure number, the potential audience numbers were so huge it didn't matter.
But we know people will show up. Believe me, I've seen the city. I've seen the teams sell out when they're doing well. I've seen it, much to my chagrin. But yeah, I don't know how that works. But I would move to Jersey. Seriously, I know Mark's going to kill me for that. I'd move him. Sorry. There's no competing with New York. Yeah, Paul, we could do that. NWHL. Where would you expand to next, Paul?
Oh, I'm going first.
Yeah, okay. You brought it up, son.
I just what happened in the chat. I thought that was part of the episode. All right. My two obvious answers would be Montreal and Toronto. I mean, women's hockey is as big, if not bigger, in Canada as it is in the United States. Throw the teams in two traditional hockey markets, two of the biggest cities. I think it can't fail. But if you're asking me a couple of United States cities, we've talked a little bit about this in the past. We've probably talked a lot about this in the past. My answer is going to surprise and amaze you. You were talking about Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I think a team needs to be there, a women's team.
Agreed.
To give Minnesota a travel buddy out there, but also because if you look at the biggest women's crowds in this country, like, I'm going to have the numbers wrong, but like 10 out of the top 12 happened in Madison, Wisconsin. So I wouldn't even fool around with Milwaukee. I would put it in Madison, Wisconsin.
Okay. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Play at the University of Wisconsin. They've got a beautiful arena out there. The Kohl Center is gorgeous from everything I've heard. They support women's hockey. Put it there. My second city, if we were expanding, I would go off the board here. I know we've talked about cities like Pittsburgh and Washington. I would say put one in Chicago. For some of the same reasons, let's give a Midwestern presence, because like you said, Dan, the Midwest, is hockey country. They said there's an old saying that if you want to go to the hockey craziest places in the United States, you look at the 3 M's. So that's Michigan, that's Massachusetts, and that's Minnesota. So you got the Midwest and you got the Northeast. We got the Northeast covered. We don't need to put anybody there. Let's go Midwest. Let's build a base out there. So put a team in Chicago. You'd have Wisconsin, you'd have Minnesota, you'd have Chicago. I think that would be work. That's what would work.
Kelly, NWHL.
Yeah, I think you go along with Paul's suggestions there. It makes sense. When you're trying to grow that league, you go to where there's tradition, and where there's an audience that's already built in, and try to grow that before you even start thinking about quote unquote expansion areas. Selfishly, I'd love to see a team in any way close by here, because I would love to support that team, but I don't think that would be what would help develop a professional women's hockey league. So yeah, go to where the people are who already watch it, and kind of offer them something new, and hope that it just finds its footing really quick, and just can grow, and you get local TV contracts or whatever the case may be, and you build from there. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. Toronto and Montreal. I was hoping, and I had such high hopes after. I had such high hopes after the CWHL shut down that they would immediately get added. I really thought, and nothing so far. And then you had right after that, you had the The boycott happened, completely understandable. No complaining or judgment here. I with you on that one. Totally get it. But you saw the NWHL trying to build that money and trying to build that, salary up with the investments so they can pay their players. So it's a very give and go situation there. But I really thought it would have made sense to just NHL, WHA do it. Okay, you're now part of us. Come on over. And I was very... I still, people can explain the business side of it. I'm still kind of blown away that is something that didn't happen. We lost Kelly to technical difficulties, and I think we've reached the end of this short conversation on expansion. Anyway, if you're listening to the show, please go to facebook.com/obeythepuck or Obey Puck Show on Twitter and give us your ideas of where you would expand the NHL, the AHL, the NWHL, whoever you'd like to expand. Where would you like to expand to next? Kelly can be followed on Twitter at Sked Central. Paul, where can the people follow you?
At Puckman RI.
Follow me on Twitter at DanLaw83. The HIAC Talk Radio Network is at all social media platforms. At HIAC Talk Radio, I'm going on vacation. You could hear why I'm going on vacation. But listen to the Apple Podcast versions of all these episodes and everybody else on the VOC Nation Radio Network. Go to Apple iTunes, or it's not Apple iTunes anymore. It just says Apple Podcast. Type in VOC Nation Radio Network or go to thebradyhicks.com. Or if you want to see the video version, it's youtube.com/DanLaw83. For Paul Baker and Kelly Levy, I'm the above average comedian Dan Calchico. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.